London is a city of rules. It is a machine of gears and cogs, and no man follows them more strictly than Inspector Alistair Flynn. But tonight, the machine has broken. The law has turned its back on its own. From the fog of the East End to the cold stone cells of Leman Street, Maud West must solve a mystery where the victim is the truth, and the suspect is the one man she trusts. Micropulse Radio, Mystery Theatre presents The Inspector's Shadow.
I have always said that the police are a fixture by persistence. They are the furniture of the city. Stolid, wooden, and usually exactly where you expect to find them. Standing on corners, directing traffic, blocking the view. But at 4 o'clock this morning, the furniture was moved. My front door didn't receive a polite knock. It received a battering that shook the dust from my curtains. I opened it to find Sergeant Miller, usually a man of iron constitution. He looked as though he'd seen a ghost. His face was the colour of the London dawn, grey, washed out, and trembling. He didn't speak. He simply held out a hand. In his palm lay a silver pocket watch, wrapped in a handkerchief stained with dark, arterial red. My watch, the one I'd lent Inspector Alistair Flynn a week ago. A frivolous gift to ensure he wouldn't lose track of time on surveillance. Miller, where did you find this? And don't you dare lie to me. The sergeant told me they found it at the Wapping Docks. He said the inspector was discovered unconscious, looming over the body of a contact, a gun in his left hand, and my watch in his right. He was clutching that silver timepiece so tightly they had to pry his fingers open, one by one, to lodge it as evidence. Most people believe the law is a shield. Tonight, I learned it is a guillotine, and it is currently positioned directly over the neck of the only honest man I know. Leman Street Police Station has a specific scent: damp wood, stale tobacco, and lost hope. I walked down the corridor, the heels of my shoes sounding like gunshots in the quiet. I found Flynn in cell 4. He was sitting on a wooden bench, head in his hands. No tie, no hat. He looked smaller. I reached through the bars. I didn't care about the guard watching from the end of the hall. I needed to see his eyes. Alistair, look at me.
You shouldn't be here, Maud. It's not proper. They've charged me with murder in the first degree.
I don't care about propriety. I care about the fact that you held on to my watch. Miller said you wouldn't let go. Why?
I don't know. I don't remember the docks, Maud. I don't remember the shot. I remember walking near the water and then a smell, something sweet, cloying, like burnt sugar and rotting orchids. Then, darkness.
I leaned in closer. I could smell it on him still. Faint, clinging to his collar. It wasn't alcohol. It was a chemical.
But I remember the ticking. In the dark, that watch was the only thing that sounded real. It was the only tether I had left, now, looking at the blood on my cuffs. I'm beginning to believe I did it. Maybe I simply snapped.
You did not snap, and you are not a killer. Burnt sugar and rotting orchids. That is a synthetic ether blend, highly volatile. Someone drugged you, Alistair. They didn't just frame you. They stole your mind.
If you're right, then the man who killed the informant is still out there, and he has my service revolver.
The sun doesn't shine in Woping. It merely leaks through the smog. I stood at the edge of the pier where they found Flynn. The police tape sagged in the damp air. I wasn't looking for a body. I was looking for a scent. The report said Flynn was found near a stack of crates. I knelt in the mud, ruining a perfectly good pair of stockings, and began to sift. Cigarette butts, a torn ticket stub, and then shards of glass glinting in the muck. A broken ampule, even washed by the tide, The smell struck like a physical blow. Ether, mixed with scopolamine. The devil's breath. This wasn't a street crime. This was chemistry. High grade, expensive, precise. There was only one place in the East End where one could buy nightmares of this quality. The Silver Swan.
Evidence in hand, Maud descends deeper into the London underworld, in search of the Alchemist of Limehouse.
The Silver Swan was less a tavern and more a waiting room for the grave. I traded my Grosvenor Square coat for a threadbare shawl, rubbing coal dust into my cheeks. I needed to disappear. I approached the bar. The barman stopped polishing his glass. The barman eyed me with a knowing look and said with menace, "We don't serve your kind here, lady. Even under the dirt, you smell like soap and money." I'm not thirsty. I'm looking for the man who sells the orchids, the one who mixes the ether. The barman's eyes flickered, just once, toward a booth in the back. Sitting there was Silas Vane, thin, jittering, fingers stained yellow by acid. He bolted the moment he realized I'd seen him. Fear makes men fast, but it also makes them clumsy. He slipped in the alley and I had him pinned before he could recover. Rain plastered his hair to his skull as he shook beneath my grip. I did not bother being gentle. Who bought the mixture, Silas? Who wanted the inspector to lose his mind? Silas spoke with a loud, terrified voice. I don't know his name. I swear. He wore a mask, a silk scarf, paid in gold. He said he wanted the heart taken out of Scotland Yard. Describe him, or I drag you to Leman Street myself, Silas continued. A cane, silver head, shaped like a cobra, and he smelled of it too. He wears the flower. The name whispered around Limehouse is Sir Edmund Blackwood. The brick came out of the fog and struck Silas with a wet finality. At the end of the alley stood a tall figure in a top hat, a silver-headed cane gleaming faintly. He tipped his hat in mock courtesy before vanishing into the mist. In Silas's pocket, I found a betting slip. Admiralty Ball. Midnight. The final dance.
A clue pulled from the gutter points to the highest levels of society. But how does one arrest a ghost while the inspector waits in a cell?
I didn't return to the station. I went home and dialed the private line of Commissioner Henderson, knowing full well what it might cost me. If he hung up, Flynn hung with him. Commissioner, the man's name is Sir Edmund Blackwood. He believes himself untouchable, and he will only expose himself if he thinks his work is finished. I need bait, and right now that bait is sitting in cell 4. I explained the ether, the cane, and the betting slip. I said the name he feared because fear was the only language this case understood. Sir Edmund Blackwood, diplomat, immunity holder, collector of poisons. The silence on the line stretched long enough to feel like judgment. When the commissioner finally spoke, his voice was very tired.
If you are wrong, Miss West, the consequences will not be theatrical. They will be permanent.
Let me prepare him. Let him be visible. Let Blackwood believe the inspector is free but ruined, staggering back into society just long enough to be humiliated. The silence on the line stretched until I wondered if I had already lost. When the commissioner finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of a man placing his career on a single card.
You have until midnight. If Blackwood walks free, Flynn goes away to prison for life, or worse. And you, Miss West, will join him as an accessory to obstruction.
I hung up the receiver and stood alone in the quiet. The game was set, and the board was merciless. I had 4 hours to take a man accused of murder and turn him back into an inspector. Flynn arrived just before 9, released quietly and without ceremony, as though the station itself were ashamed. He looked hollowed out, the ether having stripped something essential from him, leaving doubt in its place. I didn't ask him to speak. I put a cup of tea in his hands and waited for the shaking to stop.
If I fail tonight, Maud, there won't be another chance. There won't even be a cell next time. There will only be silence.
Then you won't fail. We don't need you whole. We need you convincing. Sir Edmund Blackwood believes you are finished. That belief is our invitation. I shaved him myself, steadying his chin when his hands faltered. I pressed his uniform and set his collar straight, reminding him with every small act that he was still seen. The watch lay between us on the table, ticking steadily without judgment. Some things refuse to stop, even when everything else does.
When the ether took hold, the only thing I could hear was that sound. It kept me anchored when everything else slipped away. If Blackwood sees me tonight, he'll think it's over, that he won.
Men like Blackwood don't understand anchors. They only understand victory. We will give him just enough rope to hang himself. The Commissioner did not issue a warrant for murder. That would have failed. He issued it for possession. Under Admiralty Act 17, any individual carrying restricted chemical agents outside secured transit was subject to immediate arrest, diplomatic immunity notwithstanding. Blackwood knew the statute. He had helped write it, which is why the cane mattered. Not the threat, not the poison, the possession.
A trap must appear effortless to the prey. Confidence is the disguise that lowers every guard. As midnight approaches, the stage is set, the bait is visible, and the hunter believes the night already belongs to him.
The Admiralty Ball glittered with medals, money, and men who mistook immunity for virtue. I wore silver lame sharp enough to cut, and moved through the room as though I belonged to it. Blackwood stood near the terrace doors, brandy in hand, cobra-headed cane resting comfortably against his palm. When Flynn entered, alone and unannounced, the shift in the room was almost imperceptible. Blackwood saw him immediately, and the faintest smile touched his lips. He believed the story had already ended. Flynn approached Sir Edmund with a renewed confidence in his own authority.
Sir Edmund Blackwood, under Admiralty Act 17. You are under arrest, and also for the poisoning of a Scotland Yard inspector. I will also need that walking stick.
It was nearly morning when I finally sat by the fire, watching embers settle into ash. Exhaustion wrapped around me like a familiar coat, the sort you do not notice until you try to remove it. London had entered that peculiar hour when it pretends no one is awake to witness its compromises, and for a few minutes I allowed myself the same illusion. The knock at the door was quiet and deliberate. I did not answer at once. Some sounds deserve consideration. When I opened it, Flynn stood there with his hat in his hands, as though the law had finally remembered its manners.
You kept the fire burning. I could see the light from the street, and for a moment I wondered if it was meant as a signal. I do not think I would have come inside if it hadn't been.
I wasn't sure you'd come, Alistair. After everything, I thought you might want distance, or silence, or anything that didn't remind you of the night. But I kept the fire going anyway. Some habits refuse to listen to reason. He looked down at the table between us, where the silver watch rested exactly where it had been all evening. The firelight caught its face, and for a moment the ticking felt louder than the rain. Flynn did not pick it up. He did not need to.
You didn't give me back my time tonight, Maud. You reminded me it was still mine to keep. That may be the greatest kindness anyone has ever offered me.
Then let it stay where it is. Not as evidence, and not as a promise. Just as proof that some things survive the dark. Flynn moved toward the door, then paused with his hand on the handle, the firelight outlining the familiar set of his shoulders. After a moment's consideration, he turned back with something almost boyish in his resolve. Courage, I have found, is often quiet when it matters most.
I should warn you, Maud, before I do this. I am going to hug you, and it feels only fair to announce such intentions in advance. One never knows what rules a room might be enforcing when it looks this calm.
Permission granted, Alistair. I appreciate a man who respects procedure even when abandoning it entirely. Just mind the fire poker. I should hate to write an incident report at this hour. He drew me into a careful embrace, steady and unhurried, as though afraid the moment might fracture if handled too firmly. As he stepped back, I felt a brief brush of his lips against my hair, light enough to be deniable but not unnoticed. I have never been a woman who misses details. Inspector, if that was a breach of professional distance, I shall choose to interpret it as gratitude rather than habit. Do try not to make a practice of it, or I may be forced to revise my expectations.
I wouldn't dare presume, Maud, not more than once in a lifetime. Farewell, Maud West.
Farewell to you also, Inspector, and try not to return borrowed things under such dramatic circumstances. With a low laugh, he exited, the door closing quietly behind him, and the room settled into itself once more. Some moments demand examination, while others are best preserved exactly as they are. That one I allowed to remain intact. The rain continues to fall on London, washing the grime into the Thames. Tonight reminded me that the law, like time, is only as honest as the hands that hold it. Until the next inquiry, I remain Maud West, private inquirer, amateur philosopher, and reluctant optimist.
You've been listening to the case files of Maud West. Tonight's episode, The Inspector's Shadow. Join us next time when another truth waits patiently to be uncovered.